have too much information on relationship, considering that I'm a child of divorce and having watched so many relationship reality TV shows. I feel a bit considered to give you information on things about I care or know or I think about relationships, and that's why I'm making this video. We are about to do a tell-all on relationships. Hi lovies, welcome back. My name is Nkemek-nti. It's so lovely to have you. If this is your first time being here, we have so much fun talking about life. We also do a little bit of fashion and lifestyle and just sharing my life journey with you. And today I wanted to dive into the topic that I really like the most, the topic that I feel a bit considered in, because considering the knowledge that I do have, or considering the life experiences that I've gathered and knowledge about the things that I know about this particular topic. So I was like, let's talk about it. For the longest time I felt a little bit scared because I felt like maybe my knowledge about relationship, especially not really being someone who has been in a lot of relationships or dated, it can feel very limiting, and I might not feel like the best person to give someone ideas on what a relationship should be. But I feel like the more that I keep looking at it and thinking about it, you know how your single friend is always the one who gives you the best advice about your relationship? That's exactly me, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I don't know if this is an advice video, but I just want to share some of my ideas, and I think it's going to resonate with certain people, and hopefully you are that person. I hope some of the things that I do share in this video might be helpful to you in the way you navigate your relationships. So strap on. We are about to do a tell-all on relationships. So I created this very crazy analogy called affordability. I do not think that everyone can afford you regardless of how much they love you. It's like if wishes were horses, beggars would ride on it. And I'm not talking about this just in the financial aspect. If it doesn't have six figures, then you can't date me. We all have dreams, or we grew up having this certain dream of wanting to be a doctor. Someone thought about wanting to be a tailor. There are two types of people in terms of their wants and their needs. One person would think about the limitations that they have, and they're like, oh, I'm not able to be a doctor or a nurse or a tailor because I do not really have the qualification, or parents do not have money to be able to send me to the type of school that I want to be able to get that type of education to end up being a doctor. And then there are people who are going to give up regardless of the limitations that I have. They will move past those people who looked at their limitations and end up having the job. And I also imagined it to be that whenever they have that job, they are still going to constantly be in good behavior and do the necessary things that they need to also keep that job. If you want a job and you actually really want it, you would do everything in your power to get the job. But sometimes people cannot afford a relationship. As much as they might want a relationship, they cannot afford the responsibilities that comes with relating with other people. Being able to have the emotions that creates a stability in the relationship. But not everyone can afford you. And when you recognize the fact that not everyone can afford you, that sometimes too many people like things but they cannot afford it, is really stating your value and really understanding where your value is at, and knowing what you have as a requirement for a good relationship. The people that you connect with physically, emotionally, do they really match up with what you want in a relationship? Because as much as you might have feelings for someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is going to be compatible with you. Wanting doesn't determine the success of your relationship, but the awareness and the relationship skill set to deliberate, work through what's workable, and understand your compatibility will get you that want. I'm married at first sight. I saw this young guy. He seemed to be very well accomplished. Like he said, he is at the best point of his career, and he just comes home to no one, and he wants someone in his space. This is when we are being introduced to individual characters. Everybody seems quite lovely. Everyone seems quite pleasant. Everyone seems to have very genuine reasons why they want to be in a relationship. Everyone seems quite ready and equipped to want to be in a relationship. Marrying at first sight, I know it's quite a lot, but when they are being put in the dynamic where they are actually given what they want, I recognize that they do not actually have the ability to either maintain these wants that they've always had, maybe never really took into consideration when they thought about this want of just wanting a relationship and just not really thinking about what am I gonna do in it when I do have it? What are the possibilities? What are the impossibilities? What could go wrong? What could go right? I just think we maybe sometimes think about the fairy tales, and that ends up leaving some really bad results. We sometimes don't have what it takes to make a relationship work or the kind that you want. Can you afford a relationship? And sometimes it's so easy to see it in our finances or our looks, but emotional capability is also a part in which I want people to really analyze themselves. So that's where I get into the point of talking about standard. You suffer for your lack of standard. You choose your partner, and I'll hope that in choosing a partner, you recognize the way they can be your problem. And if it is a problem, are you willing to handle this problem? I've come into adulthood knowing that I never wanted to settle. I would say some standards were set for me from watching too many Korean movies and TV shows when I was younger, but also that has also come from me seeing the bad effects of having a bad relationship. I see the way it can influence your life. I see the way it can turn your life upside down. I see the way that you can build so much on something or on someone, and then it comes crashing down, and then you have to find a way to build on your own. And that's where I really wanted to strengthen my individual being, because I recognize that as much as so many people feel so pressured to rush into relationships or to be in one, that if it breaks, the only person that has you is actually yourself. That takes me out of the point in which I was getting to. I saw this girl on Twitter a few days ago. Someone shared her video. She goes by Clark. And she said that she wouldn't date someone below her social economic background, being that she grew up not having a lot. As a 12-year-old, she made that decision to have the autonomy for herself, to build the type of life that she wants, and that she had gone through a phase in her life where she was probably working, doing internship, and also having to work on her social media, all to build the type of life that she wants. So why would she put herself through all of that? Why would she set that standard for herself, to show up so highly for herself, to create the ideal life that she wanted for herself, just so that she can reduce herself or put herself back into the situation in which she grew up with and did not like? And that's also where I come in, and I'm like, I grew up in a place where I did not really see great relationships. And not necessarily that I didn't see great relationships, but the relationships I saw around me, I detested them. They had so much great influence in my life in a way that I felt I didn't have autonomy. When I became an adult, I felt like I had to have strong control over my life. If not, it's going to fall apart. But I feel like over the years, I've been a little bit more open to understanding that I still have so much strong self will, that nothing is going to happen to me if one thing goes wrong in my life. And that's my own reasoning. But I also feel like I have worked on myself. I've worked on myself beyond the background in which I grew up in. And I've showed up in my life in the way that the people who treated me so wrong in the past, I would never want someone to feel what I felt and being in their hands. So I never want to also be that place of discomfort or toxicity for someone else. So working on myself so much, and having to spend so many countless nights just thinking through so many events in my life just so that I can get to a point of knowing myself, knowing what I want, I recognize that I wouldn't want to settle or bring myself to a place that would cause me harm. Someone not meeting my emotional ability, someone not meeting my emotional maturity almost makes me feel like I'm losing that sense of autonomy. It makes me feel like I don't have a great sense of discernment, or I do not keep the promises that I made to myself. Lowering your standards is never really going to get you what you want. It might get you what you want to a point, but it's never sustainable for the actual goals or the ideal life that you want. Have an idea about the type of person that I am. Have an idea about the type of relationship that would work so well for the type of person that I am. Love can grow anywhere if you let it. Just like a plant can grow from a rock or in dirt. If you're not intentional with yourself, maybe you haven't gotten to the point of recognizing the standards that you hold for yourself or the being that you are, you have to recognize the hand that you have in your suffering. I have made some decisions that I had to sit back and laugh at myself, and I'm like, this was your reasoning getting into this situation. It has solved that immediate problem that you have, but now you have to now sit with the consequences of the actions that you made, and it hurts. I'm not a go with the flow kind of girl. Going with the flow does you no good. What type of girl are you? I could define myself as someone who really wants a true connection with someone when it comes to relationship. I want a partner before I think about every other thing that follows having a partner. I've had a situation where certain people have had to be deceitful, have had to lie their way just to get into a marriage, because marriage comes with a title. It comes with taking the pressure off your back that other people set on you. I feel like you have to date with the intention of where you're going. If I've had my mindset on wanting to be married, I would have a way in which I approach relationships. But knowing that I'm most likely just looking to connect with someone before I think of anything else, I also have a way in which I approach relationships. And if I'm looking to casually date people, I would also have a way in which I approach relationships. It is important to get clarity from the people in which you're dating. It's important to know who they are. And also, people's silence can be like a backhand sword. It's someone's way of almost indirectly telling you that they haven't gotten to a point of thinking a lot of things through. I just feel like when you're going into a relationship, you should just think about it in a way that you get the most clarity from it. You should also go in with the energy of expressing your own wants and your own needs and stating where you stand when it comes to relationships or what you want, asking the right question. And it's not even about the way in which they answer it. It's not about, oh, good answer. It's really more about feeling the energy of the person and understanding if they actually mean the words that they're saying. You really have to gain clarity when you are relating with people. It's very easy these days to see people string you along, enjoying your company while not actually wanting to be a part of your life, while you've already made them a part of your life. I have come to recognize that I love you and I love you. You are two different things. There is I love you because of the person that you are. I'm the person that cares, the person that opens the door for me, the person that comes when I call, the person I can lean my shoulder on. I love you. I love you because of the way you show up in the world, and it's not really a wrong way of loving someone. But then there is a love that shows up for you. There is a love in which someone says, I'm curious about you. They are intrigued to know the person that you are. And that curiosity in just questions also lead into the way they are curious about you in a relationship. What are you up to? Even in moments when you're not together, how much interest does he have in you? Or are you just a safe space for him to lessen the burden of his life? And I know that we all just want a shoulder to lean on. Or if you are actually with someone who is intrigued about you, also wants to be a part of your life journey. It can be okay to be in the relationship where someone loves you in the way in which they admire the qualities that you do bring without necessarily showing you in what way they love you. Or it can be a way in which someone admires you and tell you they love you and then also show you and make you feel like the person that they see you to be. I feel like of recent, whenever someone kind of says that or has feelings for me, I'm like, duh, because I'm amazing, obviously. I really understand the qualities about myself that are quite impactful to other people. If someone knows me is the way in which I can feel that they like me. Is someone knowing me to actually get to understand me, and then can have the feeling of like. But if we're getting to the point of love, I need a little bit of something. You get I need my standards to be met. Some men are just quite love bombers. Love is a feeling, relationships are not. I like you can be sweet when we just have feelings for each other, but showing up in a relationship is completely different. Like if you feel like you're a good communicator, you're a good person, you're kind, you're whatever you you attach to yourself and you believe in these qualities, I think you should also look for that in a partner. Opposite attract, yes, but it's so important to be aligned with people. If you feel like you have the emotional maturity way more than certain people, you will always have a great understanding for other people. Do find someone who also have an understanding for you. If not, you're going to be the one who is constantly understanding and understanding. And as much as you might be generous with your love, at one point you will build resentment for people, and that's why you have to set your standard up to the value in which that you feel for yourself. The value in which you have for yourself is going to show up in the way that you choose a partner, because you can see those values. You're not waiting for someone else having to validate you. And if you're waiting for someone validating your feelings, if you don't recognize that in yourself, it's very easy for you to constantly want those praises to be sung from someone else's mouth. Goodbyes aren't the hardest part. It is time for people to recognize that they are not tied to a relationship. If they leave a relationship, it is totally fine. And the reason that I say this in the way that I'm saying it is because, like, I do not understand how people still cheat on their partners or go behind their back and betray their trust for the basic reason of feeling like that they're not satisfied in the relationship that they have. If you're not satisfied in the relationship that you have, based off of the behavior of your partner, one thing to do is to communicate those feelings to this person. And if you do communicate those feelings and you feel like these are problems that are still just hanging around, then you have to make the decision, a self audit, like a relationship audit. Does this really feel me? Is this a relationship in which I want to be in, or is this a partner that I want to be with for the rest of my life? It's important to cope with the feeling of loss. I have had to deal with loss for a lot of my life. And I think it's almost one of the feelings in which I am very certain is inevitable, because we do not just lose our loved ones to breakups, we also lose our loved ones to tragic diseases, to death, accidents, things that we did not even think about. Like, we lose our loved ones in ways in which we did not expect them to leave us. I didn't see my parents divorce, but one thing that I know about my parents divorcing was them moving on to different relationships, and seeing them in relationships, and one sometimes that were not really great. I have seen the end of a relationship with my one of my parents, and that actually really brought me a great sense of knowing that you'll be fine, and sometimes even better than when you were in that relationship. I've seen it with my eyes that your life can really transform for the better by not having someone that is not great for you, that your life can exponentially become better. Now you can even leave one, be open to other relationships. I said this one time that love that isn't nurtured is love that can die. If love can be lost, your heart can heal. Your heart will heal. You will be able to move on, build on new life experiences. So don't think that a relationship ending is the saddest part. It is not. The saddest part, bad relationship, you are able to tell and still want to be in it. And in this way that I said, if you don't accept the truth for what it is, it will show itself in the most hurtful way. And that's where I lead to solitude. I was just like thinking about when I hear people say, I can't do without you. And it is also easy to understand that feeling, because for maybe most part of their life they've been with this person and they've had so much life experience. Being able to be within yourself, to have your solitude, to be so comfortable with yourself. And I'm not saying to shy away from having connections in moments in which you can have them. Being able to also create a reservation for yourself gives you so much space to make life choices that in the long run are going to be so great for you. People die in relationships. People have had diseases from relationships. So people's life has changed for the worst in relationship. I just want you to know that if you are ever in a place that you feel you can't do without someone, it's because you've imagined yourself to not be without this person. So there is no way in this world you're going to think you can do without that person, because you've said so, because you've set that intention that you can't do without this person. The only way in which your mind is ever thinking is just, if I try to not do without this person, my world is going to collapse. You can't imagine life without them. But if you start imagining yourself by yourself, I think you might have ideas in which you can move about life. The world is so vast, the world is so big. Your experiences and the things that you can acquire from it are also very big. You haven't gotten to the end of your life, and that's why you shouldn't settle in a bad relationship just because you're uncomfortable with your own solitude. Conflict. Conflict. Here we go. So, I do not like conflict as a person. I saw this quote that said that you do not know how much chaos someone so peaceful must have been from to be able to have a great sense of serenity or like tranquility. But one of the things that I've learned seeing so much physical conflict and violence is that it doesn't resolve the problem. It is an expression of emotions. Conflicts that are very strongly expressed are expressions of emotions and they are not logical explanations or logical solutions problems that are there. They most likely exaggerate or extend the situation in which what you just wanted was a solution. I am not a very conflicting person. I'm not very argumentative. I have actually recent years found a way not to argue with people by recognizing their own life journey and recognizing their thinking pattern in when they are saying things. So I have found a way to not argue with people. And I learned it because one time I was speaking to a friend and trying to have her see a perspective that was coming from me. It was almost very draining for me to constantly try to let someone see where I was coming from and trying to let them understand that I do understand their perspective. But what I also recognized that was that they strongly believed in the value of what they were saying. So maybe that conversation wasn't necessarily for me to try to paint them a new idea of what world that I see. So when I recognize that, I think more than ever, I've started recognizing that I do not necessarily need to have a say in everything. And this life is not about me. I'm always ready to take the back seat, but I don't see having a partner in which I have strong conflict with. So when I'm looking out to be with people, I know I probably would never really start conflict though, because I most likely would want to talk through some differences that we do have, but it's also in the way in which someone also regards what I do say, because sometimes even when you do bring up situations to people, it might seem that you're just looking for trouble because you are actually stating your own mind. They're also like, oh yeah, I had this problem with you for the past 5 years and I never really said it because I'm not someone that ever wants to confront other people. But basically, what you've done is almost deteriorate your relationship by holding on to that grudge in which you've never really forgiven. And that has also changed your way in which you approach the relationship. But actually, I have a bad habit. I have a bad habit of just running away from people, actually. You should think beyond the way you're feeling to actually express the thing that you want to express. If a relationship is constantly at a point of argument, you won't trust each other to be a safe space to hear each other out, to hear each other's problems, and that's where I come to the word trust. I will maybe talk about arguments and confrontations and conflict in another video. How you argue, how you communicate your differences in a relationship determines the trust you have in that relationship. Trust can be seen as our modern society says is loyalty. If a man is loyal, then he's trustworthy. But trust has to do with every element of a relationship. My feeling towards someone is how much I feel safe with them. I'm able to trust them because I believe they are kind. I see the way in which they approach differences, in which they conversate with me. I'm able to trust them because they are reliable. I'm able to trust them because they are someone that I can speak to without them being defensive, or I'm able to trust them because they're a safe space that doesn't immediately is bunched up with judgment. So trust have to do with so much more than loyalty or infidelity. So trust is really the energy in which you give. It creates the dynamic for the relationship. If I know that someone has their bucket empty, are they the first person that I'll go for water? No, they wouldn't be. But if I know someone who always has water, whose corner is always filled with so much water, who would be the first person that I would confidently think about and be like, oh, this is the person I need to go to? That it would be the person that constantly has water. So the energy that you give kind of builds the relationship, and the relationship also deteriorates based on the energy that you're not willing to give, like the promises that you're not keeping up with. I said I was gonna come yesterday, but I never did. All those things build up the way in which someone can have reassurance or be confident in the way you are showing up for them, and also have trust in you as a partner. So I'm thinking about it. I have really talked a lot on this particular video about relationships, and I feel like I wrote so much about relationships that I still feel like I'm going to end up talking about. So this might be the end of part one of relationship video, and I will end up releasing the part two of it. But if you're here, please make sure to like, subscribe, and stick up for more videos. I'm going to be posting as consistently as possible. This is something that I really love. So please be sure to support this girl, and see you in chapter 2 of my tell all about relationship. Bye. Go into your ears and come out of your mouth and make your cheeks blush. If you want to create a healthy balance in your relationship, is to first listen before you create a reaction just to cope with the feeling of turbulence, because maybe they just can't deal with a little bit of a problem, because oh, a little bit of problem happened, oh, I cannot deal with that. They can't sit with that feeling. They can't just sit by themselves and feel hurt by it. They want something to quickly fill the void. And this is somebody that cannot stand bad situation. This is probably somebody that will not pass their maths exam.